Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the next installment of the Brick Marketing Live podcast. I'm Nick Stamoulis. We have Catherine and John with us today. We are Brick Marketing. We are a 20-year-old digital marketing agency based out of Boston, and our goal is to provide our brains insightful thoughts about things that are happening in our industry. So let's kick things off. So today, the first topic or article that we're going to discuss. So it's a really, really nice article from MarTech, the MarTech publication. And the title of the article is Marketing Looks Successful but Misses What Matters. And, so kind of, the perspective of this article is from a marketer that's been in the industry for 20 years. And I think the thing that I really resonated with is there's a point in this article where the author essentially says that part of they talk about something called the marketing Mandela effect, but they also talk about something that says the courage to say I don't know, and I thought that was great because I think that unfortunately many times in the marketing industry marketers tend to have the we have to know everything about everything always, and the reality is no one knows everything, and we all continue to learn. I've been doing this for 28 years. Catherine, you've been doing it just as long. John, you've been doing it for a number of years as well, and we're always learning. That's the point. And so I think that one little piece in there really resonated with me. So, Catherine, John, what do the two of you think on that?
Yeah, I feel like when people think about marketing, they fall into a trap of just going through the motions,
Yep.
and just doing the things that they've always done without really thinking about like why are we doing this? Technically speaking, marketing's role should be to align with business goals and work toward achieving those business goals, but a lot can happen along the way, and we tend to lose sight of what drives real growth, and that's what marketers should be working on.
Yeah, John, what do you think?
Yeah, completely. And Catherine says, yeah, marketing's supposed to align with your business goals. Business goals are always changing, right? So marketing
Right.
should do that as well, right? As
Mm.
as
Good point.
something changes within your business, your marketing should also reflect that as well. So you can't just keep going in the motions. You have to think of new ways to meet those new goals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. Very good point. Good point. Next article we're going to talk about is an article, recent one from Search Engine Journal. And the name of the article is The AI Slop Loop. And I thought this was great because unfortunately we're in an era now in search, AI search, that AI search and search using the LLMs to search, it's a newer phenomena, but it's also one that unfortunately is very easily gamed. And, it reminds me of the early days of SEO. The early days of SEO, we're talking, go back 2002, 2003. It was very easy to rank, almost it seemed like overnight back then, using, various, at the time was best practice, which we all know are kind of black hat type SEO tactics, which none of us white hat folks engage in. And I feel like AI search is very similar, and in that it's unfortunately it's easy to game the system. And so this article kind of talks about how that some basically non-authoritative type sources were generated and then quickly shown as authority sources and cited in AI search. And so I thought it was fascinating, but I'm also not surprised. Our perspective at Brick Marketing is to take a marketing approach to AI search and AI SEO and generative engine optimization and follow everything by the book as best practice stands right now. And as it changes, you evolve with it. So I think that this was just an interesting article, the AI swap loop. I just thought it was interesting. It was an interesting read. So, Catherine, John, what do the two of you think on that?
Agreed. What I took away from the article is something that I've witnessed and experienced firsthand. It's that AI can hallucinate. We always say that you have to know what you're doing if you're going to use AI for anything, because you have to
Right.
be able to look at it and kind of like catch it before things get out of hand. I was even just researching something today. Um, this was just off work time. I was researching something about the New England Patriots,
Hmm.
and it was trying to correct me saying that Mike Vrabel was not the coach of the Patriots. It was arguing with me saying that he was the coach of the Titans. Okay, that's an example of what can happen. It just goes on flights of fancy.
Right.
But can you imagine if it mattered, like really mattered? Who I was just, chit chatting with it about something related to a sports team. But if you're in a situation where it matters,
Yeah. What AI platform were you using where it
I
drifted
was
that
using
bad?
Chat GPT for
Using
that.
chat, huh? Wow.
And I have chit chatted with it, Chat GPT before about the New England Patriots, and it at the time knew who the coach was. So
Interesting.
I
Very
you
interesting.
never know.
It's crazy. John, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I think that we're running into the issue where so much on the internet is AI generated, like text. Like
Yep.
we know that right now, ChatGPT and the LLMs take a lot from Reddit. It sees it as like an authority, right? And if you go on Reddit, so much of it is AI generated. It's all spam and
Mhm.
like comment sections or main posts. They're all spam. So what's happening is you have the AI is generating the content on Reddit, which it's using and then spinning itself, and then it's just a feedback loop, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Hmm. Interesting.
I agree. I agree. And I think as time goes on, I think, not think, I'm pretty certain of it, that a lot of these sources that are cited by the LLMs are going to shift. So right now,
Yeah.
edit is I think John, you and I were talking about that too. Like Reddit is the you need to do well in Reddit right now to be, to show up competitively in the LLMs. The reality is, that's no different than, article sites, spinning sites in the early 2000s for SEO,
Hmm.
literally.
Yeah.
And, the difference is it's a trusted site, but, does every business need a Reddit profile and a Reddit account? No, they certainly don't. It doesn't make
Hmm.
sense for a lot of businesses. So anyway, so that was an interesting read. Moving on. Next is a interesting article from the Marketing Profs publication, "The Future Funnel: Why Advocacy is the Engine of B2B Growth." And I thought this was an interesting read. This is one of those sites where you need to have an account to read the full article. So, we're not advertising or promoting any particular one news source or another, but this is a good publication for B2B marketing. And so essentially what it's saying is that that I think the takeaway that I took away from this was that AI search and brands that are doing well in the B2B side of things in AI, it's adding as a, like, as it puts it, a third party proof. And so, and what that means is, and we're seeing this firsthand with our B2B clients, and that is, AI is end of sales cycle type individuals. And we're seeing it firsthand. It's folks that are highly researched, that are using, the AI platforms and search to really pre-qualify themselves and educate a brand or a product or a service very well, so they're ready to go. It's a different conversation, and we're seeing that with our clients, with our own company. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I thought this was a very interesting article from Marketing Profs. So, Catherine, John, what do you think on that?
Yeah, well, we're in general seeing that the funnel is changing because of AI. So it makes sense that this type of phenomenon is being observed as well, because AI doesn't just read a brand's website to figure out what's going on with the brand. It pulls information from all over the place. And when you are looking for growth, going to peer driven sites makes sense, like third party sites that mention your brand and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, John, what do you
It's
think?
interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on that one. I agree that if your brand's out there and it's being um, like cited AI or on other websites. Like that advocacy is like one of the most important things, because the
Mm.
way you see it is somebody's recommending this product or this
Right.
brand or or agency to you. So I think people are more likely to already know a little bit about them when they're going in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and what's I thought it was great to see this, and it's actually great. It's very validating for those of you that are listening or watching that have attended one of the brick marketing webinars, one of our trainings, or have watched any of our videos in social media. You see, the reoccurring theme of us talking about leads that generate from AI search, and
Mm.
it's very nice and validating to see that these major industry publications are starting to report the exact same thing that we've been
Mhm.
saying over and over and over in the actual results that we're seeing with our clients. So I just
Yeah,
think it's
AI.
just fascinating.
Yeah, that was a good take for me too. AI driven leads tend to be a lot warmer, and it's nice to see that people are sort of observing the same
Yeah,
as
yeah.
us.
All right, moving on. Next is an interesting article from Forrester. What Oracle's layoffs really signal for B2B marketing, sales, and revenue operations. So this is interesting. It's, unfortunately, this is not a really happy topic to talk about, and that is, thousands of people getting laid off by a Fortune, top company that's a public company, and unfortunately, the marketing, sales, and revenue operations jobs are being targeted. So, essentially, what the Forrester article is essentially talking about is that it's unfortunately the marketing and sales function are in the crosshairs at a lot of these larger organizations. I personally think, and some of them, and we've talked about this in the past when we've talked about layoffs and consolidations and stuff like that, marketing jobs being, consolidated because quote unquote AI. I think some of it is AI, but I think most marketers that I speak with are embracing fully AI in its full capability. I mean, I haven't really had any interaction with anyone, with any marketer that says I don't use AI at all. Right? So it's interesting to me. So I personally think a lot of these companies are using AI as a scapegoat because they want to increase their profitability, and like, oh well, AI is AI job loss is the flavor of the day, so let's just go with it. So it's unfortunate, it really is, and I really feel for the folks that are probably are good at their job, great at their job, obviously, to work at a company like Oracle, to then just be canned, and apparently very unhumanizing approach to laying people off too. I mean, they literally, I think they emailed everyone at like 6 in the morning and then said
Yikes.
like that day, right? So it's like, but again, not a happy topic to talk about when it comes to marketing, but it's an unfortunate reality in the world that we're in right
Mm.
now. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything to add on this. This is just, it's an unfortunate one to talk about, but I wanted to mention it
Yeah.
because I want to bring to light that these larger companies just don't can your marketing and sales folks. Don't can the people that actually drive the revenue for you. Sure, not everyone is good at their job, but that doesn't justify just getting rid of thousands of people like that in one swoop. That's my opinion.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, part of me feels like there might be more to the story.
Yeah.
I think there
We
is.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
I don't
sure there
know.
is.
It was a good article to lay it all out there. And a sentence that I liked in the article is Oracle isn't cutting jobs because AI suddenly works. AI didn't suddenly make people unnecessary, but the economics changed. So that's an interesting detail and an interesting point. And it made me think whenever we see a new technology on the market that's disruptive to the workforce, yes, there is a period of time where people are getting let go, and we can blame it on AI or not.
Mhm.
Also, our economy. I don't know. There's probably a lot more to the story. However, one thing I have observed with these technological disruptions is jobs end, but then jobs might eventually be added. But it's too
Yes.
early to tell.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
probably that seems to be the pattern when technology changes.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. John, anything to add? Or are we good to move on?
Yeah, I agree that this is probably more of like an economic issue And also, I mean, I know that Oracle, is a tech company, so they probably are doing investing a lot in AI. But you see a lot of companies that are failing, right? That might need to lay off 1,000 people. Go ahead and say, "Hey, we're doing AI now," and then their stock will just go up, right? Because that's the buzzwords that people want to hear, and they want to invest in AI companies. So
Mhm.
it could also be something like that. They're saying, okay, we're investing in AI, we're cutting off our, marketing and sales, and then they see their stock just go up, right? And they're being
Yep.
rewarded for that. But that's going to be short-term gain, and then
Right.
long-term,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, I
work out.
agree. I agree. I agree. All right, so let's just take a brief moment. We're gonna plug this podcast. So this is the Brick Marketing Live podcast for those of you listening, available on all major streaming podcast platforms. Also streaming on the brickmarketing.com/live website, on the Brick Marketing website, and also on the Brick Marketing LinkedIn and Facebook pages live, but you can catch it anytime. So just want to plug our podcast. So thank you all for listening. Next topic is an interesting article from Search Engine Land. And kind of the reason why I picked this one is just to let people know that SEO still exists, right? All we talk about is AI search, but SEO still drives, without looking at the data, billions of searches worldwide, right? So it's yes, we're in the transitionary period to AI search, and you need both, but don't ignore your SEO. And so this is an article from Search Engine Land entitled "Google Spam Reports Can Trigger Manual Actions, May Be Shared with Site Owners." So basically, Google has an area, a spam report submissions section, that if someone or an SEO happens to see a site that is, or a marketer or a business owner sees a site that is trying to manipulate the search in algorithm in any way, you can manually submit to Google that you're spamming Google, basically, and then essentially it'll show up on your Google Search Console report, and then it will actually it'll notify that owner. I think this is great. I really do. I think it's I can see, honestly, in the one sense, I can see it being used for ill will too, unfortunately. But if someone maybe jealous or a competitive situation, someone's like, oh, this site is spamming. But I think the engineers at Google are definitely sophisticated enough to know what brand and what site is violating their webmaster guidelines and best practice versus that
Oh,
really aren't, or something that may be intentional versus ones that aren't necessarily intentional. So anyway, I just thought this was an interesting piece. So
Hmm.
I don't know, Catherine, John, do you guys have anything to add on this?
No, I just like
Nothing
it.
to add.
It seems valuable.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
That's all.
yeah. It is.
It's
It is.
helpful. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like a transparency thing too. And also, if it is spam and a lot of people do it on purpose, I think they need to know that they got called out.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I got an email on my personal email that came from a very good, seemingly very good company, and it went straight to my spam. This happened like yesterday, right? And I have to wonder why, right? You look at it, the email's not spammy. It's completely like everything is above board in it, right? You have to wonder why things like that are happening so often to people.
Don't know. Don't
Yeah.
know. None of this stuff is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Next is another really good article from Martech: 3 AI Shifts Reshaping Market Research. So this is interesting. So I think one of the core uses for marketers of AI and all the LLM and all the AI tools is research. Really, literally, market research. Having level of data. Obviously, recommend you check it, but check it out. Any the results that you see. But so the one market research shift that the Martech article is referring to is Anthropic's projects turn AI into research partner with memory. The second is Google's Gemini models bring AI inside the corporate firewall. And the third is multi AI systems introduce built in quality control. So I thought it was great. And what's happening here, and this is an indicator to me anyway, is that the LLMs and the AI platforms are evolving. That's what we're seeing here. The different models are being released, more sophisticated language models are being released that are focusing in on research. Because I think, if you take early days of search, research was the core of search, right? It was, the old days of like, oh, in the late 90s and early 2000s, oh, you don't need to go to the library and spend, you know, hours researching, information and old school way of obtaining sources, especially if you're a college student or something like that. Now it's at your fingertips. And I think this article at Martech indicates that, the technology is progressing nicely. And we've only just begun.
Mm.
I mean, I think we're going to see it really advance in the
Mm.
coming years. Definitely. So, Catherine, John, what do you guys think on that?
Yeah, we tend to think of AI as being helpful for a productivity tool, and we talk about its implications for marketing too. And I love the perspective of this that you can use it for insights and analytics and market research. And so it's just nice to stay informed with what's going on and how it has the potential to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what do you
Yeah,
think?
and it has grown, right? I mean, think about the leap between I can't remember the first version of Chat GPT that went public to GPT-5, right? It's a huge leap, and things seem to be slowing down, but things are going to change and still continue to get maybe more accurate, maybe more energy efficient, all those sorts of things that you might not even notice yourself, but hopefully we see good changes happening.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next article is from Ad Age. Answer engine optimization, AEO defined. So this is interesting because, again, we're in this transitionary phase, and we keep talking about that. And basically, the SEO world is shifting to AI SEO, or it's also called generative engine optimization. So optimizing your brand, your company, your website, so it comes in that conversation in AI search. But also, we're also hearing it referred to as answer engine optimization. you know Personally, I like AI SEO the best because it encompasses all aspects of search. It's like, if you think about it, it's AI search engine optimization, right? So AI is essentially a search engine, is being utilized as a search engine. So answer engine optimization, I think the easiest thing for people to understand what it is, think of it this way: generative engine optimization is um, optimizing your brand, product, service, company for to become visible and to get in the conversation of the AI platforms. Answer engine optimization is to create content that answers specific questions related to a brand, but isn't like the company. It's like not as transactional, right? Think of it this way: um, generative engine optimization is like your highly targeted long tail keywords in SEO. And answer engine optimization are maybe broader keywords in SEO that are still highly relevant, but are more, in the educational phase, maybe mid-level, not end of sales cycle, like the GEO generative engine keywords might be. So I thought it was great because, the industry, again, by Ad Age publishing this type of thing, shows that the industry is just, trying to really flush itself out and pick something, and I can only imagine that if you're owner of a brand, or you're a marketing person, it must be dizzying. It's dizzying for us, and we do this professionally, and we help a lot of companies with this stuff. But yeah, so I don't know, Catherine, John, what do you guys think on this?
Yeah, I think we need to pick a term.
I know.
I mean, people come to us almost not even realizing that all these different terms are the same thing. But that's an aside. I liked the article because I like what you said, Nick, about how it just goes to show you that things are changing and we're trying to find structure in amidst all the changes. And I actually think this article did a good job at highlighting the most important elements to laser in on so that our brands can get mentioned in AEO
Right.
for AEO best practices, like adopting Q&A formats. It's talking about, we talk about that, structuring for machine readability. We've talked about that in the past, your
Yep.
citations, all of that is helpful. And I think that
Exactly.
this article really did a lovely job at telling you what to focus on, because otherwise you could just get stuck in all the details. I mean, I got stuck in a detail too, thinking AEO, okay, is it AI SEO? Like your brain just wants to latch on to something that is
Yeah.
standard and
Let's
stable.
call it AI SEO, people.
Let's pick one.
That's really
Our,
right.
our, our, we will call it AI SEO, and we want our listeners to call it that too, and we will make change happen.
That's right. That's right. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. It's just it's good that there are resources like this out there that can help you figure out what to hone in on. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that there is something out there.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Next, an article from Digiday. And so this article was originally published on Modern Retail. And the title of the article is "Creator Content Has Become Critical for Retail Media Networks." So I thought this was fascinating, but I'm also not surprised, right? All you have to do is take a moment, dive into TikTok, take a look at the videos, go to TikTok live and just watch, and go to the e-commerce areas of people, trying to sell you products. I'm just not, wasn't surprised by this article, but I thought it was great to see it. But I think that's where we're at. It's almost like every time I see though, and so I get pulled into it. I get sucked into it. Absolutely. Like I go down the rabbit hole sometimes, and I see these these people selling all sorts of stuff, right? Like, and even stuff I'm not even interested in. But what fascinates me as a marketer is I say, wow, that's really great. Like, I can't believe 2,000 people are actually watching this individual right now, right? Like, talk
Mm.
about random, like some of them are like Timo special products. No offense to people like shopping on Timo, but very low
I've seen
quality,
those.
right? But it's fascinating to me. It's almost as if we're in an age that if you have a little bit of creativity and the time and effort and persistence and consistency in organization to be organized for it, that you can literally start like your almost like your own, QVC. It reminded me like QVC back in the day when I was a little kid. I would go to like QVC or the shopping network, which, by the way,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I heard that they're filing Chapter 11, I believe, which
Oh,
is
I didn't
really
know that.
sad.
Oh,
I
that's
believe. I
interesting.
don't quote me on that, but I heard that they were having financial issues. But I remember the day. I mean, literally, as a little kid, putting on those stations and just sitting there watching random things. Women's jewelry sold with my mother. Like, why am I watching
Mm-hmm.
this? Right?
I
That's not
used
my
to have the
market.
same.
Right. But I thought
Yeah.
it was funny. Like, so. But this is interesting. But that's the era that we're in right now for retail and e-commerce. Is it's kind of like if you own an e-commerce brand, and we've had clients that oh, what should we be doing to drive more product? Well, this is exactly what you should be doing. You should be
Mm.
putting yourself out there. It doesn't need to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be professional. I mean, it
Yeah.
does, but it doesn't need to be. I think you
But
guys
it's
follow
not
what I'm saying.
perfect.
Right.
You're
Right.
saying you don't need to be perfect, and in fact, that's an asset now because
Yes.
it's an easy way to show that your content's not AI driven,
Right.
because you
And it's
have
real.
somebody that and it's totally real. Like I've been getting retargeted all these protein powders because I've been researching protein powders, and the brands are actually putting money on the distribution of these influencer created content. But you tend to feel like, okay, this influencer is in her kitchen making this iced coffee protein
Right.
thing, and you're
Right.
like, and her straw is cute. I might
Right.
try that protein powder.
And
Like,
it's a
and
regular
then the dog
person.
walks
It's a
in.
regular person.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah,
not scripted. It's not a model. It's
right.
not an actor. It's not AI. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
They might even leave a blooper moment, or that time when the cat walked into the frame and
Right.
tried to like lick some of the protein powder off the spoon, and you're like, "Oh, okay, she has a cat." And then you're like, "Wow, I just watched this whole video. When's the last time?" And I know the Temu ones that you're talking about, the taking the furniture out of a bag and they pop out
Oh
of the
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you're like,
It's like
what
I
is this?
watched this
Where did
whole
this thing
thing.
come from? It's like $6 and it's like a
I
two
know.
hundred pound box of something.
I know.
Right. So
It's
John, what do you
amazing.
think? It
Yeah,
is. It is.
I I'm looking at this from like a completely different perspective where yeah, I do YouTube and people will
Right.
reach out to me, right? And recently, like sort of in sponsorship finding agency reached out, and they're like, "Oh, we can get you to work with like brands that would make no sense for me, but they're willing to pay just because it's so
Right.
like lucrative for them to say we'll throw X amount of money at this person, and then our brand's out there, and maybe we get a few sales." Like when one of them was like Bombas, I'm like, I haven't personally ever had a pair of Bombas, but they're willing
That's
to pay
funny.
money, right?
Yeah.
So it must be. I mean, big brands are doing it. I feel like small brands should also be doing that. If you have a small, a product, send it out to creators who might be smaller but are willing to take that product
But it has
and
to
make it
be
bigger.
relevant though, John. Honestly,
Mm,
like I don't care how much money's thrown at it. I mean, like we have other sites and stuff, but it's kind of like, right, like if that's an analogy is like for me to put like I don't even know something completely not related on the brick marketing
Yeah, of
website.
course. You have to do your research and find
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't
creators
matter.
or
Right.
people that are at least
Yeah.
within the same realm. Like for
Exactly.
me,
mm-hmm.
Bombas makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
But
Right.
if
No.
Right.
someone else was coming out, if a smaller business came to me that had a product within my niche, then that would be
Right.
like a perfect
Yeah.
pairing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So interesting. It's just interesting. It's just a very interesting topic. That's why I picked it. I thought it was a really good. It was,
Yeah.
it was,
It's a
it was
good
a good
one.
one. It is.
We live it. We might not even notice it.
Oh yeah. Next, interesting article. This is a pay-per-click advertising article from Search Engine Journal. Google is replacing dynamic search ads with AI Max. So I think it's interesting. So and it actually breaks it down. There's a really kind of interesting graphic that breaks down, the targeting differences, the creative differences now with AI Max, reporting, the campaign, workflows. So I think it's good and bad, and I'll tell you, full disclosure, I've been managing Google Ads campaigns since 2001. I've been managing pay-per-click campaigns since 1998. And so it's evolved considerably, obviously. And so it's, PPC management. PPC in general is a different ballgame than it was 2 years ago, let alone 5 years ago, let alone
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago. So I'll tell you pros and cons. I think this is good for certain type of businesses, but there's also a lot of caveats, right? So I think that, um, at the end of the day, you advertise to, to get some type of return on your advertising spend. That's why you advertise to get business, to get leads, to sell product, whatever it is. There has to be some sort of ROI and return on your ad spend. But I think that for certain type of advertisers, having an AI Max, which essentially is automating every aspect of your campaign, is good, but sometimes it's really bad. And I've seen it firsthand, really bad, where,
Mm-hmm.
it drives thousands of impressions, thousands of really non-relevant clicks. The advertiser, the client says, "Oh, this is great. We're getting all this great visibility, but is it really great? The ROI is junk." Right? It's just not there. The return isn't there. So to me, I think certain type of campaigns, if you're running a branding campaign, this is great. If you're not really tied to getting a heavy duty return, but it's maybe a long term, you're building a brand in a market. This is wonderful because now you can really comprehensively attack your target audiences at a massive level. But if you're a smaller business or a mid-sized company selling a product or service in a local market or even a regional market, it's your waste. You're going to waste a lot of money with this, and you're removing lack of control of your brand too. If it's just going to pull ad copy based on the landing page copy, in theory that sounds great, but it's not always great because as marketers, we want our brands to be structured a certain way consistently over and over and over and over, because that's how branding works. Is when you have that inconsistency in messaging, that's where branding fails. And so I think that some pros and cons there. So I don't know, Catherine,
Mm.
John, I want to get your take on this one.
Yeah, when you tell Google to do an automatic program like this, like the AI Max, they just, in theory, they should be optimizing and reading the network and stuff. And in theory, it should be smart enough to know how to set the reach for your campaign. I don't know how this works. I haven't looked at it, but one would hope that you could align your point and your goals and that Google will align itself with that. But that's a downside with
Right.
automating, as you said, because if you can't like set your point, like I want to get leads, the keywords that drive leads are totally different than the ones that drive your brand and expand the reach of your brand just for information purposes. Like if you can't set your point, then I can see this being frustrating. But
Yeah.
if you're a big company that has a lot of budget and it kind of like doesn't matter, it's kind of nice for Google to sit and
Well, you can run
do all the thinking for
basically
you.
exactly. You can run one click experiments with this. So
Hmm.
you can run a lot of series of tests. So if you're a larger brand, and you could take 5% or 10% of your media budget
Hmm.
on a monthly basis. So okay, I'm going to run this in rolling tests. I mean, that's what I would do with this.
Hmm.
Is if I had extra budget, I'd say, okay, I'm going to take 10% and I'm just going to run a series of tests, A/B testing, and
Hmm.
just let it run and compare it to our control, where we know it
Hmm.
it drives good quality results. So
That's smart.
uh, yeah. So John, what do you think on this?
Yeah, it looks like it's a new tool, right? It's and we always say like over here we're always trying every tool that comes our way, right? And
Right.
this one we might be forced to use because it's completely replacing dynamic search ads. But like you said, test it, see if it works,
Exactly.
what
Mhm.
parts of it you like, what parts of it you don't, and then cater your experience towards that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Next, interesting article from Moz. Moz is a AI SEO and traditional SEO tool. It's a good product, and so this is an interesting article that essentially talks about the complete AI research workflow from prompt discovery to content creation. So I thought this was great, and it was really a nice, for those of you that maybe are a little bit newer to utilizing AI to help come up with topics and research for content, not write the content, but research the content. I thought this was great because what it does is it shows using, obviously this shows using the Moz tool of how to do a lot of, the prompt tracking and a lot of the research. But I think a lot of the functionality could be applicable without the Moz tool. But I just thought it was interesting. I just thought it was interesting to how it kind of laid it out in a very simplistic fashion. But it's a good read. It's a good read. And for those
Mm.
of you, and again, this is not a paid advertising from Oz. We, as
Mm.
John mentioned, we use a lot of tools. We test a lot of products. I've personally used Moz for at least 15 years. So, so it's a good tool.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely worth checking this one out. So I don't know too much to add on that one, but Catherine, John, anything to
I
add?
have stuff. I do have things to add.
Yeah.
I It just really made me feel thankful for where we're at now because when I started using I had no there was really not much out there to teach me how to use it. I just jumped in and started. I started prompting, I made mistakes. I figured out how to deal with the drift on my own. I realized that
Hmm.
sometimes when AI hallucinates, as I talked about earlier in the podcast, it might have been my fault somehow. because of the way I
Right.
prompted it. It was just a really good article for showing step by step how to get it to do something and to be intentional in that use of it, because most of how I learned is just by feeling it out because it was so early. And
Right.
we're starting to get into a good place now where we're starting to learn, here's A to Z what you should be doing, step 1, step 2, step 3, and
Absolutely.
so on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, moving on. Next article is from Search Engine Land. Your homepage matters again for SEO, and here's why. So it
Mm.
basically says here that, how SEO inverted the web design. It talks about, the great AI reversal, and the erosion of the deep link, and psychology of AI, the path of least resistance. And it talks about, you know, um, basically framework for your website and how important homepages are. So let's take a step back and talk about homepages in general. The evolution of homepages, it used to be, homepage, I remember it, early days of the web. You'd have a splash page. And so every so often we still see it. These really image heavy homepages with no content, no call to actions, and just they're there. And then you have to click one or two clicks away before you dive in deep to where the visitor really needs to go. And so and then it went from that extreme to the other extreme, which is put everything on your homepage and just slap it all together. I think now it's reverting back where there's a level of refinement. I think AI is helping us in brands with that because the homepage is so important. It's
Mm.
important from a brand perspective, right? It's your, you know what it is? Your homepage is your 15-second elevator pitch of your company. That's what it is, literally. Like in a nutshell, who is your company? What is your brand? What does it represent? What are the key things that are important? That's what your homepage should be. And oh yeah, by the way, here's the easiest way to get to those spots. That's what the homepage should do. It should not be a laundry list of accomplishments and awards that you've won. It's all about you, 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 you. It's not about you, it's about your customers. So I think that, and, for the love of everything, don't start homepages with these huge graphics or these videos that automatically start. I know you all like them, but they're just nuts, not good usability. John's laughing, but but it's true. I mean, I've just seen these homepages so many variations over the years, and it's nice to see that in our industry people are starting to recognize again how important the homepage is. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think on that?
This aligns with what we say, a few things that we say. The first is to not, just because AI is here doesn't mean we get to ignore the rest of the things that have been working all along.
Yeah. Right.
Add AI to what already works.
Right.
So, revisiting, quote unquote, revisiting your homepage. Well, what happened to your homepage? Some of the stuff that's recommended in this article, it's not anything we haven't heard before.
Right.
And some of it we may have known that we needed to do this all along. But time passes and we get a little bit lax with stuff. And I think, if anything, this era is forcing us to revisit what works too, because we don't want to be ignoring our SEO results, which are still there. We don't want to ignore our content programs. Everything has a place. And I love that they wrote this the way that they wrote it, because it shows us that we really need to remember to stick to the fundamentals and bolster the fundamentals
Absolutely.
as we go
John,
along.
John, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean your homepage is like your cover letter or your resume, right? You're showing
Right.
people who you are right away, right? And sure, you might have a video there that has all that information, but if it's huge and in the way, people go to your website and they're going to scan. They're not sitting
Right.
there and watching a video,
Exactly.
right? That
Right.
Mm-hmm.
might it might, if it's playing audio, it might scare them off. If it's, if it's slow, they might not stick around for the whole thing. So having,
Mm-hmm.
text, the video can be maybe towards the bottom, but having text that people can easily scan and, AI can also scan is probably a way better way to do it.
I agree. I agree. And if anything, I think if there should be official rest in peace of the homepage sliders. Personally, I
Yeah.
absolutely detest sliders, and Catherine, you know this. It's
Yeah.
just I just you know no one wants to sit through a slider, and no one's going to click through the 8 sliders to get to the event that you're exhibiting in 2 weeks. No one's doing that. So you
Hmm.
know, let's simplify it. Go back to basics. Create homepages that are effective for users, effective for your customers, effective for conversion, and will help your SEO and AI SEO all at the same time. So
Hmm.
that's it on that. Interesting article. So this was interesting one that I found. It's from The Drum, and it's Charlie Stoney takes us inside the UN of marketing and its plan to reshape industries. Very fascinating read. That basically, it talks about that, and it uses the term agencies. So we're a digital marketing agency. We're a small digital marketing agency in Boston, and that focuses on traditional digital marketing and AI marketing, GEO, AI, SEO. But this also refers to creative ad agencies, advertising agencies, creative digital agencies, video agencies. And so essentially what's happened is there's an organization that is of Voxcom that essentially is they're creating almost like an organization that's going to help all agencies, all flavors, all types of agencies coexist with AI. And it actually talks about that like one of the questions it poses is how do you speak for an industry in crisis. And it's true. I mean, and then it asks, can agencies and AI coexist? I mean, we know here at Brick Marketing that they absolutely can. But again, we're not a design agency. So it's we're not a video production agency. So those are different mediums, and those folks are shaking their boots, no doubt, because a lot of those functions will be replaced by AI, unfortunately. And so it's kind of like we're fortunate that we can adapt, and we have adapted, and we are adapting, and we're embracing it fully, both feet. Like we truly love AI.
Mm.
We're not just saying that. But I just thought this was a fascinating article because I try to also put my shoes in. That we have colleagues that have other types of agencies that are really struggling right now in this AI world. And so I think it's nice to have some sort of an organization or higher body of folks, industry experts that will help really try to help each other
Hmm.
through this period of time that we're in. So um, Catherine, John, what do you guys think on this?
I think you said it pretty well. It's nice to have an overseeing agency to help us navigate the changes in in the industry. Oversight can go either way, though. In my mind,
Yep.
it's a good thing. It can also be a little bit too much. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Just like anything
Yeah, I
in this
agree.
era.
I agree. John, anything to add?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add on this one. Yeah.
Okay. Okie dokie. We'll move on. Next one. From Search Engine Journal, why your search data doesn't agree and what to do about it. So this was interesting. Basically, so what this article essentially is talking about is something that we've been dealing with and we see daily is the lack of consistency of data from Google Analytics 4, current version of GA, Google Search Console, Google Ads, maybe throw in a CRM system in there, and maybe some of these third party, maybe some of these third party AI tools. None of
Mm.
the data really coordinates well at all, and you know I'll go on record. I'll talk for myself. I know, Catherine, you probably agree. I really am not a huge fan of Google Analytics. We use it. We have to use it. It's the industry. It's the industry standard. We're Google Analytics certified as a company, but I feel a lot of the data. I mean, it's. I mean, I know I'm not alone, and I know this isn't a new topic. I know this has been a few year old topic of marketers complaining about Google Analytics 4. But what it did was it's destabilized data. Okay. So it's not a matter of like, okay, it used to be very easy to use, easy to get information and actionable key points that you needed to make decisions from a marketing perspective, but it's destabilized things because GA4 is different methodology than Google Analytics, than Google Ads reporting if you're running PPC, is different methodology in different data for Google Search Console on the SEO side of things. And if you're using any CRM system, right, if you're using Salesforce or HubSpot or any of them, it's the data, it's not apples to apples at all anymore. Methodology is changing. AI is changing AI search. I mean, we've talked about how, you're not seeing the direct conversion immediately come in. And plus, there's not, like ChatGPT doesn't have a Google Search Console or an analytics tool yet for brands and for companies. Google Gemini, you would think that they would have it, right? For Google Gemini anyway, they don't, right? Microsoft does for Microsoft Copilot, it integrated into the Bing Webmaster Tools, but it's very rudimentary, but it's better than nothing. My point is the data's changed. It's like in disarray, basically. And so we're fine because as marketers, we know how to we use all of these tools in tandem. None of them really connect, but it connects enough for us to make the right marketing decisions to be informed in what we're doing and what recommendations we're making. But for someone that doesn't understand, that isn't maybe a marketer and isn't as advanced as we are, honestly, good luck. It's a challenging world to navigate. So, Catherine, I want to get your thought on this, and John, you too. I really want
Yeah,
to hear what you guys think on this.
I agree about GA4 being more difficult than the previous system. It can sort of give you the same information, but there's caveats. Every now and then I'll catch myself saying, "Oh, I used to be able to access that data," and oh, I'm thinking of the old days in the
Right,
other system. Okay,
right,
I think part of things too, as marketers, we need the data to be able to look and see what's going on, but we always needed to take the data with a grain of salt anyway.
right,
But back then we had data sets that we could rely on. I think part of the issue too is that we don't have reliable AI data, and AI is intervening on our profession and what we're doing and what we're trying to do to get businesses, the word for businesses that we work with, out there.
right.
And if we don't have the AI data, then we don't have the complete data set as it is. So that I guess is why your search data doesn't agree, right? It doesn't tell the whole story
Right.
because it doesn't have the whole story, and we don't have the whole story. So we just kind of have to fill in the blanks.
And we do. I mean, we literally do. I mean, how many we
Yes.
do reporting for clients? We use maybe 5 tools,
Yeah.
and then we connect the dots. Like we're not
Mhm.
just using Google Analytics anymore.
Right.
You know, So, John, what do you
We
think on
can't
this?
anymore. We
Yeah,
have
Yeah.
to use everything.
I don't know much about how it used to be, but I can tell you now that things are incredibly inconsistent. Like not even
Mm.
only in Google Search Console, even things as simple as, like, for me, I do YouTube, like I've said a million times. Even things like a view count will be different from one analytic tab to another, right? Like on the content screen, it might say it has X amount of views. In the analytic tab, it'll say it has a different number. And then if you go on YouTube itself and click on the video, it'll have a completely different number as well, right?
There you
And,
go. That's
it's like
Google.
that
That's
for
Google
everything.
for you.
Yes, yeah.
That's Google for you.
It's
It
just
is. It really is.
it's a whole Google issue. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you would think what Google needs to do I'm just going to throw it out there. They need to offer a paid tool. Charge us $250 a month per brand. Heck, charge us a lot more. Charge us $500 a brand, and take everything related to SEO, everything related to AI SEO, everything related to YouTube and video, everything related to your email marketing, your PPC, your Google Ads, and have one platform, one area to log in, and all data completely in apples to apples across the board, and have it be the same everywhere. And just charge people money for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I would honestly, I know our clients would gladly do it. I would gladly do it. You know what I mean? And so that's I'll just throw that out there. No one's
I
listening from
agree.
Google, but I figure I'd throw that out
Well,
there.
maybe we want them to listen so that we can
Yeah,
have our voices represented.
yeah, it's okay. We're a small podcast. It's okay. All right, moving on. Interesting article from Martech. Heavy on Martech articles is this for
I noticed that.
this issue. Yeah, it's good. Gives some good, really good content. AI rewards brand meaning and punishes everything else. So I thought this was interesting, and it actually goes through and talks about, and it gives um, um, public information of different companies, different um, um, trusted brands, and it kind of breaks it down. And then it talks about the consistency variable no one budgets for. So it's so funny that even like large brands talk about consistency, and we talk about consistency as one of our core values of strategic marketing. And the way we approach it is,
Mm-hmm.
you need to audit. You have your strategy, you have your implementation, but you have the consistency aspects, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's social media or PPC or creating a podcast like this or video content. Consistency wins the game, and consistency in how you talk about and discuss a brand is huge. And this is literally saying everything that we talk about. And when we do AI SEO for a client or a company or a brand, we try to get every source being consistent. Every press release, white paper, blog post, profile, um, ad, sponsorship, whatever it is, wherever it needs to be consistent in every way. Um, and that's where it says it rewards it. And it's actually, this article talks about larger brands and how some of them just aren't consistent. And those are large brands with enormously large marketing teams and branding agencies, and you still can't get things consistent. I think consistency goes more than just how visually the brand looks. It's the messaging and the words behind the
Mm-hmm.
brand that has to be consistent in the world of AI, and we see that firsthand. But I just thought this was a great article because, again, it really supports our methodology, and it ties in larger brands. So
Mm-hmm. Yes, so if your brand is consistent and that is beyond like your logo and your brand colors, it has to do with your tagline and everything. If it's consistent, then you'll be rewarded with that consistency when AI mentions you. If it's all over the place, and honestly, it sounds to me like the larger the brand, the more likely it is for something to go amiss with the way somebody
yeah,
mentions you. We know that any little thing can cause an AI engine to hallucinate or drift, as I call it.
right,
Um, where why did that drift like that? And then you realize maybe 10 years ago this is how we were talking about our brand, and now we're
right,
not talking about our brand that way anymore. So we just got to watch. We just have to clean it up and watch for it. And it's interesting to read this article for its use cases with the larger brands. It's interesting
right.
take.
Yeah, yeah. John, what do you think on this?
Yeah, I think that people should try and keep track of every single place that they're promoting their brand. Whether you have like a Word document or a
Mm-hmm.
notepad, just keep track of where you
Mm-hmm.
have your stuff written down, so that in 10 years you can go back and reflect on those things, go check and see if everything still is brand relevant or not, and make edits if you need to, or delete things, or or just so that AI doesn't create, there's no more hallucinating within what your brand is and
Mhm.
all that.
Totally agreed. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right,
Mhm.
so on that note, we're going to end it for today. I would like to thank everyone for who tuned in. Definitely catch the Brick Marketing Live podcast on any and all of the major podcast platforms. Check out the Brick Marketing website for the latest free webinars that we offer. Tons of useful information about everything related to digital marketing, SEO, AI SEO, content marketing, social media. Tons of good stuff. So we will be back live next Monday, the 27th of April, and we will be with you live at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, we'd like to thank everyone again.
Yeah.
Have a good one.